It is this view of the Intracoastal Waterway which inspired me to retire and build a house in Southport, North Carolina, in the St. James Plantation development. From my back porch, I can see and photograph a wide variety of wildlife, including herons, pelicans, ospreys, hawks, and even the occasional pods of dolphins that transit the Intracoastal Waterway. This section of the North Carolina coastline runs east-west, so my view in the morning is the rising sun, and my view in the evening is sunset. These shots were taken about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, just after the change to daylight savings time. This is the view looking west along the Intracoastal Waterway. Then if we look a little further to the northwest, I see the St. James Marina. This photo shows the camera equipment I've been using since 2005, since switching to the Canon digital system. My interest then was mostly portraits and photojournalism, event photography, and I didn't really focus on wildlife shooting then. My photography changed in 2012 after getting my first iPad, an iPad 3, which had 1080p video, and the iMovie app, which allowed editing and uploading to YouTube. Within days of getting it, I went to a family wedding where I shot videos and uploaded them to YouTube, and the response I got was much greater than I had ever gotten posting photos on my website. Getting more and more videos on my phone and my iPad than I was shooting stills. Video on Canon bodies wasn't mature to the point where I wanted to invest in it. So I instead bought a GoPro Hero 7 Black and upgraded my iPad to a 12.7-inch iPad Pro. To improve sound quality, I invested in a Blink 500 lavalier microphone system. The receiver plugs into the side of the iPad. There's also a receiver unit that's compatible with mirrorless cameras, which is shown in this photograph along with the transmitter and lavalier microphone. After upgrading to an iPhone XR, I started using the GoPro less and less for shooting video because it was more convenient to use the camera and I liked the color rendition better. In 2020, after moving to North Carolina, I started doing golf tutorials and posting them on YouTube. I would shoot these on my iPad simply because it was easier to shoot and edit on the same platform. When construction was started on our new house in 2021, I started doing weekly updates of the progress, shot with a combination of my iPhone and my iPad. After completing the house and moving in February 22, I continued to do some golf tutorials, but I never got enough subscribers to make it worthwhile. So I decided to move on to something else, and that something else was wildlife photography. I started carrying my 50D with 70-200 lens, which has an effective focal length of 320, when I was out walking the dog. To extend the reach of the camera, I bought a 2x tele-extender, which gave me an effective focal length of 640 millimeters. Here's what I can get with my 50D with the 70-200 at 70 millimeters and with the 2x extender added. There's a 2-stop loss in light and a slight decrease in resolution. Here's a comparison of what I get at the long end at 200 millimeter with and without the extender. I adjusted the exposures in post-processing, but didn't do any sharpening or other adjustments. Here's an example of what I was able to achieve with the 50D at 200 millimeter with a 2x extension, which gave me an effective focal length of 640 millimeters. It's one of the better wildlife pictures I had taken up to that point, but not up to par with the results I'm seeing with the new mirrorless cameras and lenses. But this initial testing of the water was enough to make me decide to invest in a new camera, lenses, and a computer that I would need to process the video. After watching many online reviews of the Canon R7 versus the R6 Mark II, I decided on the latter because while it had less resolution and would give me less reach with my lenses, it had better quality video. And I think it would be a better investment in the long term because it's not a camera that I'll have a compelling need to upgrade in a year or two. I also knew I would need to upgrade my tripod, and what you see the camera mounted on here is a tripod and fluid head combination, which was suggested by Hudson Henry, who is a well-known wildlife and nature photographer. You can find all the specifics on the setup on Hudson Henry's YouTube channel and his website, so I won't repeat them here. One of the features of this Leofoto tripod that Hudson Henry recommended is its height. And while you might not think you need a tripod that tall, here's a situation that illustrates that it's helpful. In this case, there was a heron that was on the bank of the intercoastal at low tide, and it was raining outside, so I couldn't get the camera out. And in order to capture the image over the railing of the back deck, I needed the camera that high. This tripod solved the problem. For comparison, here is the tripod I had been using to shoot videos with my iPad. Here's a comparison of the results I'm getting with the R6 Mark II with the 70-200 with 2x extender versus the newer RF 100-500 millimeter. Okay, to conclude this video, here are some comparison tests between the 50D and the R6 Mark II shot with my 85mm EF lens at f4 to increase the sharpness a little bit. This first image here has no post-processing at all. It's the raw image, which isn't as sharp as the final edits usually are. Now here are the same two files with post-processing, the same type of unsharp masking that I apply when I am editing my photos. My profession was photography, graphic arts, and printing, and I started using Photoshop with version 1, but as part of this upgrade, I've switched to Affinity Photo 2 for my photo processing and been very happy with it. Here's a comparison between the R6 Mark II and the 50D when the image is enlarged to show the pixels. I'll close this video with some photos I took yesterday, walking the dog. I'm really blessed to be living in a place where there's such a variety of attractive, exotic wildlife to shoot. These fox squirrels are unusual compared to the normal gray squirrels you see. This one I've been photographing for quite a while, and it's changed location. This is a fishing pond where we have in our community, and there was a heron that was hanging out. I think it was the same heron in the previous pictures. I was able to catch her. With the 100-500 is a great walking around lens. Thanks for watching. I hope photographers in a similar position to me, wondering whether or not to upgrade, found this helpful. And for others, thank you for joining me on my journey and my new avocation as a wildlife photographer and videographer.